And then I guess we can get started.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, I'd like to introduce Keely. They recently went out and did the Zion Half Marathon. They're here today to talk about their experience. So if you guys want to get started by saying why you chose this race and what made you want to do it.
I think it's mostly Keely that wanted to do the Zion half marathon, so kind of we just went with her.
Yeah, Zion's on my bucket. It's like a lifetime dream to get out there. And then when these guys said that they were willing to go, I was like, score. It was a great trip. So when it was one of my first vacation race series, like the Mount Rushmore one last 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They raved about it. So I wanted to check it out, and it was my expectations.
Yeah, our first experience with Rushmore went so good that when we saw the list of all the places that the vacation races, has their venues at, and when Charlie saw or mentioned the Zion was going to have make that a trip out there.
When you talk about this being a destination race, what do you mean by that?
It was one that we, planned to go with hotel to, and while you're out there, you're deciding like other places you can visit. Like we went and saw Hoover Dam and Las Vegas, and just made a whole vacation out of it.
Yeah, the sites were like that.
I seen online that you guys took a bunch.
Yes. Yeah, Charlie actually did a lot of the pictures. His phone camera was a little bit better than Ben and mine, but it was. The pictures are captured, but it's one of those things where you can't. The pictures don't do it quite as much justice as just being there and seeing like just the height of the mountains. Like driving through, we kind of had to tweak our plans a little bit because we initially had planned to do a lot more, and snowfall the week that we came, so we had to kind of tweak some things. Like there's
cool.
And that we didn't make it to some of the places we wanted to, so we had to tweak some things. But we had to drive through. When we got to Zion, it was at night, so like visibility was a little bit hard, but you could just sense like just the mountains beside you. So when we saw spectacular, like the size of driving through this little tiny road and these huge mountains on a very surreal moment.
Yeah, like Keely said, it really doesn't. The pictures are all great, but looking at the size of these cliffs and mountains and drop-offs and vistas, and it's just. The pictures was, seeing it live is, you have to go do it. If you like, you have to go try some of these vacation race venues.
Oh yeah, and everything's better when you have kind of the three amigos. Well, and Steve's usually with us too, but he out. But we have a blast wherever we go. But so this was just, even more better. It wouldn't have been great, to be honest, without these guys. So we had a fantastic time.
There's a really cool part in Zion.
If I can pull up these pictures real quick.
And like you drove out of the tunnel in Pittsburgh, and the city's right there. Was the same way with Zion. You drove out of this tunnel, and all of a sudden these big mountains. Really cool.
It's like breathtaking almost.
Yeah, you guys can see some of the pictures right now, right?
Still loading.
Still loading.
All right.
Yep, there it is.
Let me know when they come. There we go. Yeah, I'm just going to give everybody a quick little preview of some of the pictures they did take. I don't know how well this is going to work because I never tried this.
It looks good. You can see them.
Might be a little bit of a delay. Is it scrolling up properly?
It's kind of, it's slow, but it's moving.
Quick preview of this. It's probably killing the video. But as you see, you guys definitely visited tons of, to me, I would say the most that you could out of your trip. I made it to the top. We'll see if it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't.
And considering the weather we were kind of faced with, I think we did the best. We also went down to Page, Arizona, to Lake Powell, which was gorgeous.
Now, how far would you say, like from Vegas or like whatever, were you guys from the race start?
Vegas to Hoover Dam was pretty close. And then we ventured to the next day. We ventured from Vegas and worked our way up. So
It was about 5
Vegas-
hours to Horseshoe Bend.
That was about
Yeah.
4 or 5 hours. Yeah.
and then to Horseshoe Bend to Zion was like what, Charlie? Another
It was 2.5
2.5
hours and back to Zion. Zion was kind of in between Horseshoe.
Yeah.
And when you're driving along that 5 hours,
There to begin with.
There's a strip of road from Vegas to like nowhere, or oh gosh, like 50 miles, I think. What was it?
I think it was
Something
over
like that.
100 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a long time of like just nothing. Places like that's about it.
I mean, when we say nothing, there was nothing along the side of the road. It was crazy.
Well, you once in a while remember the meth trailers.
Yeah, just see a random trailer in the middle of a field.
Like all over it. Yeah.
Yeah, cooking up some meth. But yeah, it was pretty desolate.
So,
Nothing
they
there.
look,
I would not stop to ask for directions. No.
We did see a 50 cal on top of a monster truck though.
Oh yeah, that's right. You could shoot guns off a monster truck. That's yeah. YOLO
that'd be something I would like to do.
about it. We were like, oh,
At
All right,
Zion.
so you guys said there was snow a couple of days before that hit the area, but what was the weather like during the race out there?
rain, not snowing. Now we did do some hikes that like we ran into some ice on the trails because it wasn't like, you know, it was like on the shadows of the mountains, so it never saw the sun to melt. So that was a little tricky, but
the race was on a main.
it wasn't.
Had it cleared off, and they're very efficient of getting the roads cleared.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to say that they were very, as an organization, they were like to the, you know, at the race start, they had like coffee for people. They had like heated tents, like things that like, you know, they've clearly been doing this for a while, so they know what to kind of expect and bring, but they were very organized. I was impressed.
And they try to improve a lot. Like the first one we did in Rushmore, we got and had a little bit of a shuttle bus. We were shuttled in full-on charter buses, and there spare. The shuttling was not a problem at all this year. So they do go back and look at what they can do better the next race. So they're always trying to get better at all the logistics of the racing, which is nice.
They try to do point-to-point races so that way you get the most views. Like, it's easier if the course is hard. They just want to give you the best views of why you're there.
Oh, that was just absolutely gorgeous. Oh, and then we saw
that's good
some
because I always
early-
like to hear do that.
Oh yeah, it was fun. Not on the race course itself, but the we ended up seeing, because of all the rain, we saw Charlie has a really cool video of the mountain due to all the snow melting. It was beautiful. Like the way he captured the light was like, look, almost like a rainbow in it. It was pretty cool. Dean, like that just had
So the
Dean
course,
Banker written all over it.
so the course itself, they try to, I guess, give you the most bang for your buck for view wise. Is there a specific thing on the? Is there like a monument or anything that they actually take you by?
No, they just kind of brought you into town, but came into Springdale was the entrance of Zion. So see more of the mountains for Zion, and there's some other stuff like that. You went through a little town called Rockville that Van saw a picture of, like a cemetery, an old time cemetery there, and
That does stick out.
like when we did Rushmore, we ran up this road that you could see Rushmore probably about 6 times because it would just kind of like zigzag back. You'd see Mount Rushmore from like real far away, and then as you and there are a couple times you come out of like a tunnel and that's all you would see would be more. So they definitely, and it was a hard course, so they could have made it a lot easier. But I mean, it was a pretty tough course, but you had the best views of Rushmore in that race. And this one was the same way. I mean, you know, when you got to like mile 10 and you're right there coming into Springdale after Brockton, I mean, you saw some great views.
Now, the whole course is actually on road, from my understanding.
Yes.
Correct. It's all paved. It's a paved highway. It's Route 9 is the road that goes from Virgin to Springdale. All straight, slightly uphill. We had a little bit of a headwind the whole time, but nothing too terrible.
Yeah, it was cold, but I think I'm kind of unfortunate. Charlie and I were sick that week. I had a pretty funky ear and sinus infection, and he had some respiratory stuff. So, I mean, by far, that was probably my worst time-wise. Like running in Zion was probably my worst time I've ever ran a half marathon. But we finished, and that was really all that mattered. And we're still in one piece. So.
Yeah, because I think the one I was looking a little bit before this. It looked like it's like they quote me 589 feet a gain, but it's all uphill the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple.
I mean, could you feel the
downhills, but-
elevation, or is it just more like a ghost town trail where it's a steady climb?
Sounds like to me it felt more steady, kind of not like big.
There's 2 big hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it
There's
wasn't
one
very
big-
bad. I mean, it was a slow incline the whole time. You wasn't really noticeable except in those 2 spots.
Now they do have a trail one there, I believe, at a different time. It's a Zion Trail race.
I think that's at night. Yeah,
Yeah, you can do a
they do a
nighttime.
nighttime.
I know in the
Now, was there any issues with like traffic? Did they have the roads like blocked off or anything like that, or is it just
No.
more or less run on the curve?
well, they did like one lane. They would block one lane for a long period of time, and they would block the other lane. So there was always one lane open, but they did a very good job of making sure that it was a safe course.
It was mostly one lane at the beginning, so that way where everyone was clumped together. Once you got past the first like 3 miles and everyone started spreading out a little bit, the berm was big enough that you never felt at one point like you were going to get hit by a car. And if the berm did close down a little bit, they would direct the traffic so that way it was very well organized with that too. Like there was no point that you thought you were worried about getting hit by a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know around here in PA, that's always an issue when you're running on roads. People really don't take that into consideration. It's more like, hey, just run on the brim, fend for
Mhm.
yourself type of deal.
Right.
Now, when we did Rushmore, they closed this main road. It's like a main scenic road to Rushmore. They actually closed it for the race, which I thought was pretty impressive that they were able to close that road for the whole thing down. So they do get in with like the local authorities to help make it a safe race for everyone.
And I thought the crowd participation was pretty good for, considering there was there's huge stretches that you really see anybody. But when we got like into like little smaller towns, there were, a lot of people out in the street with signs and just cheering. So it was nice.
Yeah, I think Rockton had a population of 247.
Yeah, it was small.
Yep.
Oh, geez. Now, I think I was reading, it said this is a zero waste race. Could you guys explain that a little bit and how they do things with this zero waste?
Well,
Yeah, so
since they're all, go ahead, Keely.
No, good. Good.
No, since they're always kind of close to a national park, they don't want to have a big impact on anything with the park. So there's not a lot of, I think, any plastic or paper cups there at all. They use what are they? They're not like throwaway. They're almost like rubber collapsible cups that everybody gets, and you can sign up to get one of those as you register for the race. And I think they have extra ones there. So there's very little paper. There's very little impact with the races when you do a vacation race, just because there's the proximity to the national park, and they want to keep it, as clean as environmentally friendly as they can. So everybody is carrying around a little collapsible plastic cup that they can fill with water, and they have different refill stations at the festival, at the expo on course, so you can fill up, water if you need to. So hydration is not a problem. They just don't want the paper waste, basically.
And I don't usually run with hydration, so I figured, why start with this race? But I will say, and I can only speak for this race, but the water was not. I only stopped one time at a water station because the water it had a very distinct taste to it. So
That's that Hoover Dam for you.
I think
Yeah, and it's low too.
very low. Yeah.
I actually used what did they have? Nathan? Was it Nate or I forget the electrolytes they had.
Oh,
The
gnarly.
company that Gnarly, yeah, it was
Gnarly.
gnarly. It was actually
Gnarly.
pretty good. I tried it. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I
'Cause
like
just have
too.
I have the 8-ounce cups for in my waistband, so I just refilled those. But yeah, it actually did taste pretty good. And they had
Yeah, I
honey
tried-
stingers, I believe.
Yeah, they had those too. The representative from Gnarly was at the race, pre-race, where you pick up your packets, and nice guy. He was talking about the product, about how I usually use liquid IV because that's what we've always used in the hospital. So, but he said that it's actually better than liquid IV because it has like less carbs and it's not kind of filled with some of the preservatives and stuff. So I actually thought the taste was better too. But I think you can only buy it online.
All right, so how will the afterwards, like party and the medals and the swag and stuff that you get, how was that type of thing?
It was nice. You finished and they gave you a box filled with a bunch of snacks and like protein bars, trail mix and stuff like that. And then there was chocolate milk and what else?
Yeah, they had chocolate milk and
Lots of kind of energy bars, honey stingers. What else is there? I think they had bananas and typical stuff.
The finish line has a real nice area. They announced our names as we were coming down, and where we were from, because no one really that does the vacation races is from the area. Mostly everyone travels for their races. So
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we did.
our finish line photo actually has like one of the mountains in the background with Zion across the top finishing. It's really nice. It was a really nice finishing photo.
Yeah. Yeah, we met a lot of cool people there too, from many different places. We actually met a few Cleveland people, and Charlie gave them his terrible towels to to take pictures with.
Yeah, I do know he always carries that around with him wherever he goes, the different races. He always has to get a
Gotta-
picture of it.
Got to represent.
Now, Van, I think I saw you grab the medal behind you.
Yeah. All my medals are back there, and the Rushmore one's over there. I pulled down the Zion one. They do go real nice with the medals. I'll try to give as best a look as you can get there, Dean. They're all really nice. They're all roughly the same shape, but they don't skimp on any swag or race medals. And the back of this one is really cool too. This is a place that we went to, but weren't able to get to. The Kolob Canyons. They actually have an engraving with a little blurb on the back of them. But for swag, for shirts, for medals, Vacation Races does not skimp. They're very nice medals, very nice bands and everything. And this one here, just so you get an idea, is Rushmore from 2021. So you can see it's basically the same medal as Zion, just with different letters and different artwork, and it's got this stuff on the back too. So if you do a vacation race, that's the kind of medal you're going to get. Pretty hefty, big one too. This is probably 4 inches by 3 inches, roughly each one.
Yeah, that's definitely pretty nice. It definitely looks like they go all out because that inscription at the back, that's just, we'll just say it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not something you usually see on the back of a medal. So anytime it's there, it's noticeable.
And their expo, they have
Yeah,
a
it looks
lot
like
of,
it gives you like a little history or just info about the place.
and the expo, they had a lot of different shirts to buy, for a race. They probably had about 20 different shirts of different styles, colors, hoodies, hats, patches, magnets. They do go all out on stuff that you can buy, and it's not overly priced either. I think the patches were Van, like $5.
Yeah, they weren't bad.
$5 for a patch, I think $5 for something. Yeah.
And the festival area, it was cool because it was very kind of laid back. Like some people brought their dogs, and just kids were around, so it was very laid back.
And one thing about them too, I gotta say, is after the race, when we got back to the hotel, I noticed that my medal had a big scratch in it and it was dented up. I actually contacted Vacation Races, and within 2 days they sent me a new medal. And they said they were sorry for it, and no shipping, no nothing. And it was within probably 3 or 4 days that I actually had it in the mail. So their customer service is very good. They care. They're a race that actually cares. And I think we're looking at going to, I think it's Saguaro next year, and Phoenix.
Mm-hmm. And I'd like to hit up Glacier National Park.
Glacier too.
Yeah. But I did notice that Zion has, and it sounds really cool too, Zion has a race, I think it's in October. It's a 3-day race, but it's all trails. It's a Zion, I think you race Zion the first day. It's like a 12-mile run. Then you go to Bryce, you run like 10 miles, and then you end up at Horseshoe Bend and you run like 12 miles. So it's 3 days of racing, but it's not super long distances each day, but I think it's tent travel, like you tent each night. But I just thought that'd be cool to kind of hit all 3. So that's a fall option if any,
Yeah, it'd be nice to do.
I know they do ultras too.
Yeah.
For the ultra runners, for the longer people, they do longer versions. Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't
I
want.
think they just had a 100-miler last weekend.
Oh, was that last weekend?
Yeah, it was in Antelope Canyon. It was 100 miles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you always want to get your bang for your buck. And if you're going to go out west, like us being all from PA, if you can do 2 or 3 races or get that little longer distance and see more things, it's always best to do it that way, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, it's always better with friends, and it can cut the cost down too. So you're always more than welcome, Dean Bango, to come with us anytime we go super race. So planning on the February one and probably the Glacier in June. So if you want to join, you're more than welcome.
Yeah. Next year when I open my funds a little bit more, we're going to be going out west a little bit more.
Awesome.
I think our most expensive thing was the plane ticket.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
We
mean,
found
we only had a couple $100 in hotels and rental car, and when you split it 3 ways. And
and Charlie found this hotel. I was in love. I travel a lot for work. I'm actually in Houston now, but Bumbleberry Inn, right?
yeah,
Bumbleberry Inn, right in Springdale, in the heart of Zion, was the cutest, cleanest hotel I've ever. It was like this rustic looking kind of hotel, but it was.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right. So you were saying about the Bumble Hotel?
Yeah, the Bumbleberry. It's like right inside of Springdale, but it was one of the nicest, cleanest hotels. Like I'm a big clean freak. I checked all the beds for bed bugs, and listen, you can't be too careful. I worked with the homeless before, so I was lifting up the mattresses, and there was like not even like dust under the mattress. It was just phenomenal. I was very impressed.
I'm cheap, so I end up going to hotels that have hair and cigarette butts everywhere. So when there's a nice hotel, I really enjoy that.
Oh,
and it
absolutely.
was only about $125 for the that was $130 for that room.
Yeah, but split between 3 ways. I mean, that was like so dirt cheap. It was great, and it was a nice. I mean, it's a big size room. Like we didn't have it like no one was tramping over each other. It was nice. I think the biggest room we had during the trip was Caesar's Palace. That was probably the biggest room, but.
And with the Bumbleberry, they gave you a coupon for breakfast in the morning, and it was amazing. It was this restaurant that was actually a phenomenal breakfast.
Porters, right?
Like homemade. It was just. I'm not one to really venture out sometimes, especially like the day before a race. But I was like, well, what a yellow. And Charlie and I got the chicken fried steak, and it was like a homemade, like boneless, skinless chicken breast. Like, I mean, it was fantastic.
I'm trying to think what else here. Now, when they shuttled you guys, was there plenty of parking at the finish line? Like when you guys finished, you were actually by your vehicles, or did you have to get shuttled somewhere else, or what was that?
So we actually got shuttled from. There was a pickup right outside of our hotel room. So they picked us up outside the hotel room, drove us to, because the start was on, we stayed at a Holiday Inn, which is right in downtown Springdale, but the start was on the other side of like Zion. So when we finished, we passed our hotel, and it was like another half mile to the finish line from our hotel. So we were shuttled out probably a good 12 and a half miles to the start.
And then at the finish line, they had shuttles going back through town, back to the hotels, so that way you could just hop on a shuttle real quick, and 2 or 3 stops and you were at your hotel.
Yeah, we weren't waiting very long.
No.
Yeah, because I guess that would make a big difference in planning.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's considering how close we were to like the red, we still had to leave pretty early in the morning just to make sure we got on the shuttle, got to the race start. And like I said, they were very prepared with like heated tents, and because I mean it was cold. It was, in fact, we got out there and I realized that I didn't have anything like head protection. So and they for that as well. They had shops that I bought a really nice hat. Like I just felt like they were very prepared for this race.
They had lots of porta potties at the start for everyone. There wasn't too big a line. They had porta johns like lined up the road for the races, probably every 3 miles. They probably had like 5 of them sitting there on the road.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like when we ran Rushmore, it was in the woods, so you could duck off into the woods and go to the bathroom. This you really couldn't. It was right along the main road. So they were very good at having the porta johns on during the race.
Well, Van ran with the American flag, so I figured if one of us got into a real bad situation, we could just hold up the American flag and shield the other person. But luckily, we didn't have to do that.
Now, I always everybody who runs with a flag. Did your arms get tired? Did you have to switch arms, or did you have any issues with the flag?
The hardest thing about running with the flag, it was the holder. Those holders are not very, it was a little
Okay.
extendable kind of pole, telescoping pole, and the wind whips around and, hits the flag so much, it actually bent the little metal clip at the top. And that happened in Rushmore too. That literally happened when we ran Rushmore, and then through the race, I'm checking it out, and I'm looking at it, and it's like, yeah, it's bending, because literally it's the flag just whipping the whole time because of the wind. So I'm literally there on the race, like biting down this little wind just to get it to come together to hold the flag in place. But it made it the whole route, no problems other than that. So
Well,
It's
maybe
not TSA.
I didn't.
So.
maybe
Yeah.
during the race, just not
Well,
how.
I sort of like that. I didn't run the whole distance with the flag, but yeah, in the middle there, I kind of pulled it up a little bit and carried it a little bit, but definitely in the beginning, definitely at the end.
And then you had it confiscated.
He tried
Yeah,
to
and
use
then
it as a weapon
the-
at the airport.
Yeah, they thought it was a collapsible baton. TSA did not let me go through with the baton, so can't take those on blankets.
We
Yeah,
thought we
they
were
should
going to leave Dan in
understand. We've
Vegas.
seen enough. All right. So basically, I want to wrap this, the talk about the Zion half real quick. It seems like you guys all had an amazing time the whole week, or whatever the amount of days you guys were there. You guys enjoyed the race. You really thought they all did a good job from start to finish. Is there anything you'd like to add specifically about the race that I didn't touch?
I felt like it was, I mean, even though Charlie and I were pretty sick, I felt like it was pretty easy of a race, as far as if you were sick, or if say you haven't ran many half marathons, I feel like it would be an easy one to start with. And it's a good time. It was chilly, but once you were running, it wasn't too bad. Zion gets very hot later in the season, so makes sense why they hold it in in March. So I mean, if I were just recommending to somebody, I would say, yeah, absolutely. If you've done a few half marathons and you want to travel to a really cool one, I would absolutely suggest this one. And even if you're a seasoned runner, absolutely, I would recommend this to somebody. But it seemed to me a little easier than some of the other ones out there. Terrain wise, I guess I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it was an enjoyable race. It was an enjoyable week. If we'd have planned it a little better and we were feeling better, the Las Vegas Rock and Roll half marathon was the Saturday before. We didn't fly until Wednesday. If we'd have actually planned it, we could have done a Vegas half marathon on the weekend before, and then Zion the weekend after. So if anyone would ever look at going out to Zion, look into that, you might be able to catch 2 races in a week, because you could easily spend a week in that area. There was much that we missed, or so much more time I wish we had at Zion.
Oh yeah, even just getting to we were on our way. Actually, we were halfway point to getting to the Grand Canyon Skywalk, and Charlie noticed there was a big sign that said road closed ahead, and we were like, huh. And that was the day we got there, so everything was still pretty icy, and in fact it was snowing. And luckily we called ahead, and they said, no, don't come because we're closed. So again, we had to tweak our plans a little bit, but so there's driving distance wise though, I don't mind anything under 7 hours for me. I'll drive it. So if you don't mind having a little bit of a drive, like I said, the longest drive we had was to Page, Arizona. But if you fly into Vegas, there's so much around there that you can do, and heading into Utah as well. That's not a bad drive.
And
In
back
fact,
to
it would
the
have gone
race,
sooner. What was it, Charlie? We were just gone from Vegas to Utah, you said it would have been only 2.5 hours?
yeah, it's 2.5 hour drive from Vegas
Yeah.
to Zion. And going back to the race, I wanted to add, I don't even think it was that much for the race to do. I want to say it was $125 is what we paid for the entry fee. And for the medal that you get, and the t-shirt and the experience, it's it's a very reasonable price race to do.
Oh, I agree. And I think Charlie, I think we registered in like August.
Yeah, it was August or maybe a little bit sooner than that.
Okay, somewhere in the summer, I remember. So
Yeah.
Everything's better if you register early, but this is, I mean, Zion's something you just kind of plan for too. So if you're thinking about doing it, you'd have to register soon. But like Charlie said, it was, I mean, for considering everything we got, like that was really cheap.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend Zion as the half marathon of the race. And if anybody considers going to Zion, I would say definitely check the weather, because a lot of the stuff that you can do, and there's a lot of stuff we didn't get to, but it is weather dependent. I mean, they can close parts of the park if they're not open. Angels Landing is one of the hikes I really wanted to do, but weather was not having it with that. So a lot of the stuff is weather permitting. There's a lot of stuff to do in Zion. You're probably not going to get it all one trip. It might require, a couple trips there, but for the race and for the scenery, yeah, it's worth the trip.
Yeah,
And one thing I noticed this week too on one of the Facebook pages for Zion was the week after we were there, they started running shuttles. So we were able to drive through the park and see stuff. After like a certain point in March, it was like March 15th, I want to say, you can't drive through the park. You actually have to take shuttles for each of the stops. So because it isn't a very big park for driving, like the roadwise or parking. So they want you to either rent, like there's a lot of e-bikes or bicycles, or take the shuttle through the park.
Yeah.
So that way.
And they will shut down the roads if there's too many people in the park, which they did do the second day we were there. They will literally turn people away. They just have too many people in right now. We can't let more people in.
Yeah.
All right. So with all that being said, kind of wondering what you guys' plans are for the rest of the year. You guys got anything on taps that you guys want to share, or anything cool that you guys are going to be doing?
We're going to Cherry Blossom, and not this coming week, but the week after, Cherry Blossom 10 miler in DC. And well, we have the one up in, what's that?
Kinzu
Yeah,
in July. Yeah. Out in Pittsburgh.
Ragnar.
Oh, which Ragnar was that?
Warx.
The one in West Virginia. Have you run any Ragnars, Dean?
Not yet. They've never coincided with like an open weekend that I didn't have something big planned, I guess.
Oh, you should. I absolutely love Ragnar. It is fantastic.
Dean could do the black loop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do look fun. It's on my list. I'm hoping next year when I get rid of as many smaller races and concentrate on bigger things, I guess.
Yeah.
Now next year, Vacation Race is also doing a race in Shenandoah, which is just down in Virginia. So anyone around like Pennsylvania area, it's only like a 4.5 hour drive down to do that race. They also have one in the Great Smoky Mountains. I think it's like an 8-hour drive, which isn't too bad.
The Shenandoah one is probably beautiful too.
So Van, you got anything else you want to share?
No, all those other races, Cherry Blossom, Warx. Did we talk about Warx in June? Warx
have you done Warx before?
I've never done Warx before, but it's been on my radar. I know they're trying to kind of take the place of Indian Mud Run. They're kind of, with that whole Eastern Ohio kind of segment of the market. They're trying to kind of take over for where Indian Mud Run was. But yeah, excited for Warx. Happy that Bone Frog's back. We're not gonna be able to make Bone Frog in was that Labor Day? But just happy that Bone Frog's back.
Me too.
Yeah, I think I've met those people, or at least that group of people before in a couple of races, and the people that are taking over Bone Frog now, I really do think they're going to put forth the effort to keep it alive. I will say that.
Yeah. It seems like they're very invested in it, so that's a good thing. Bone Frog is one of
Yeah,
my
hopefully it
favorite.
goes well this year so they can build off of it for next year. But I mean, I understand that this year's
Yeah.
only going to be one race, but again, we're already in March when they made the announcements. You can't really add too much.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're trying to start it slow. Did you hear the interview they did on Optical Racing Media with Matty B? They're kind of trying to start it off slow with just one or two events and slowly build it up. They're not trying to go out all out like they were like before, going all over the Eastern Coast. It might just be 2 or 3 events a year until they get everything set and solid, and which is the right thing to do rather than try to go all out all right away.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, that's probably the smartest way to try to do things.
Yeah. Let's hope that one of those OCRs becomes a staple again, because I know in the last couple of years we've lost so many OCR races that we do need more of a variety coming back, or more of a variety per se, and different, I want to say, skill level and variety of obstacles at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. I thought Wonderland,
well-
the Wonderland in New York. I don't know if I did the 24-hour endurance up there a couple years ago. That's pretty fantastic. If you're looking for a different, in fact, the guys, when Bone Frog went under, Brian, the owner, sold some of the obstacles to them. So they have some of the original obstacles. And they have different events like throughout the year. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's always nice to try something new, to get out of your comfort zone and
Yes.
even go to a different area, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, it's getting a little late. I'll let you guys get to bed or get ready for bed. Thank you guys for coming. I really enjoyed hearing about Zion and your experiences. Hopefully I could see you guys more this year, because I think last year I've only seen you maybe twice. I don't even think I saw Keely at you at all last year.
You didn't. I know, Dean. We need to have some quality time here. When's your next race?
Yeah, we'll definitely find a race locally that all 4 of us can get and do this year. And other than that, I hope you guys have a good training season, racing season, stay healthy, and all that fun stuff.
You too. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so
right,
much,
thank you.
Dean.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean.
See you
Bye.
guys.